Older Adults webinar series. Will be offered in English with Spanish, Vietnamese, Russian, and Chinese translation, and with American Sign Language interpretation. To choose your preferred language interpretation, please click the globe icon at the bottom of your screen. You can then click on your preferred language. The ASL interpreters will be spotlighted on the main screen. Translated versions of the presentation slides will be provided in the chat. My name is Sonia McCormick, and I serve as the Public-Private Partnership Program Manager at the Oregon Department of Emergency Management. I will be your host for today. I'm a middle-aged white woman with long brown hair, wearing a black shirt with a green sweater. This year's webinar focuses on the unique challenges older adults experience in preparing for emergencies, such as living on a fixed income, having a limited support network, or having accessibility or functional needs. The older adult community is one that we hope to be a part of one day and are greatly impacted by disasters in Oregon, such as wildfires, ice storms, and extreme heat. During the next 90 minutes, our partners will share their knowledge of preparedness and lessons learned through lived experience with these events. In this session, we will go over how emergency managers and organizations serving older adults can work together to prepare for disasters, emergency planning with considerations for evacuation assistance, durable medical equipment and sheltering needs, and the emergency alert systems in Oregon and how to sign up for them. Before we begin, let's go over some housekeeping items. To avoid disruptions and background noises, we have muted the microphones of participants. We have many attendees today. Therefore, we are unable to have an open chat function. At the end of the event, we will have a facilitated question and answer session during which the presenters will answer your questions. You may put your questions in the Q&A box throughout the event. Please keep all questions and comments relevant to the topic being covered. There will be an evaluation sent out via email after the session. Your input is appreciated and will help us improve future sessions. While we are not expecting any problems during the presentations, should the presenters experience severe connectivity issues, we will do our best to re-engage or switch to the next agenda item. Next, I'd like to introduce Uli Reich to welcome you this morning. He's a firefighter with the Woodburn Fire Department and the program manager for the Woodburn Community Emergency Response Team. Uli, over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ulrich Reich. I'm a white 69-year-old male sporting mustache. I'm somewhat hair challenged with white blonde remaining hair, and I'm wearing a dark blue fire department uniform. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's presentation. I've been involved in serving the Woodburn community since 1991. I started as a volunteer firefighter, retiring from active duty in 2018. And since 2013, I have been the program manager for the Woodburn Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT program. These experiences over the past 33 years have given me a unique perspective on the importance of community resilience and individual preparedness. Today, we want to focus on preparedness, particularly for emergency preparedness for older adults. Woodburn, located between Portland and Salem along the I-5 corridor, is a very diverse community that includes a substantial number of older adults. Besides a large variety of cultural backgrounds, approximately 18% of the population is between the ages of 44 and 65, and another 16% who are 65 years and older. This means that a large part of our community needs specific considerations when preparing for emergencies. Why this focus, you might ask? As we age, we may face unique challenges during emergencies. These can include mobility limitations, chronic health conditions, mediation medication dependency, and sensory impairments. These factors can significantly impact our ability to respond effectively to disasters like earthquakes, floods, or power outages. Emergency preparedness isn't just about having a first aid kit or a flashlight. It's about developing a comprehensive plan that addresses individual needs. Some key points might be medications and medical supplies. Ensure you have 2 weeks of supply, essential medications and medical supplies. Keep a list of your medications, dosages, and any allergies you might have. Mobility and accessibility. If you use a wheelchair, walker, or assistive device, have a plan on how you will evacuate or move safely, considering accessible routes and transportation options. Communication. Keep a list of emergency contacts, including family members, doctors, and caregivers, including an out-of-state emergency contact. Ensure that you have a way to communicate if power or phone lines are down, such as a battery-operated radio or a whistle. A personal support network, identifying trusted friends, family, or neighbors who can assist you during an emergency. Create and share your emergency plan with them. Home safety. Secure heavy furniture such as wall units and objects that could fall during an earthquake. The Woodburn Fire Department responds approximately 25 list assists during the month of March, considering installing grab bars in bathrooms and hallways to prevent falls and waiting for the fire department to come to your home and pick you up off the floor. Nutrition and hydration. Store and rotate non-perishable food and bottled water. Ensure you have enough to last for up to 2 weeks. Preparing for emergencies can seem daunting, like a daunting task, but it's a vital step in ensuring your safety and physical and emotional well-being in the event of an emergency. By working together, we can create a safer and more resilient environment for ourselves and everyone around us. Thank you very much for your time, and I encourage you to take the first step towards emergency preparedness today. Our expert panel of speakers will provide you with insight and ideas on emergency preparedness. Thank you.
Thank you, Uli. Our first presenter this morning is Michael Hansen with the Douglas County Public Health Network. Michael retired from the fire service after 45 years. During his career, he spent 18 years as a paramedic and moved up through the ranks of captain, division chief, assistant chief of operations, and fire chief. During that time, Michael was in leadership roles for many major events dealing with wildland-urban interface, large-scale fires, severe winter storms, floods, and multiple casualty incidents. For the past 4 years, Michael has been working on community outreach for the Douglas Public Health Network. During this time, he has helped with countywide flu and COVID vaccine points of dispensing. Additionally, he participated in technical review of the Umpqua Prepared Guidebook and has been presenting on emergency preparedness programs that focus on older adults. Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Next slide, please. So, that's all right. I work for Douglas Public Health Network. My name is Michael, or I go by Michael or Mike. I'm considered one of those older adults as I'm 66 years old. I have a full head of gray-white hair. I wear glasses. I'm wearing a blue polo shirt. And with that, a little more history on me. In the 45 years that I spent in emergency services, I did see quite a few major events and hazards that I've dealt with. But I put on the list here a 7.2 earthquake in Southern California. Now, I wasn't really the emergency responder to that. I was there actually visiting family, and we were staying in the living room. And back in the early 80s, it was common to have guests or families stay in or sleep on a hideaway bed. So we were sleeping on the hideaway bed in the living room. They had a house cat that didn't go outside. and it was going back and forth across the top of the couch, and to the point that it woke me up. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And it wasn't, I bet you, a minute that we experienced a 7.2 earthquake. So even though we think that we don't see earthquakes, pay attention to your animals, because they may give you an idea of kind of what's going on. The reason I bring this topic up is, as emergency managers and people that are educating the public in the different types of events that we can run into, when we think of the Cascadia event, or any type of earthquake for that matter, we think of one event, the 7.2. What I experienced was after that, then we had a 4.5 to a 5.5 aftershock. Now, if you've never been through an earthquake, the aftershock could be just as traumatic as the original. And what I felt was my body would tense up, and I would start thinking is, oh my gosh, is this the big one? And was the 7.2 the prelude to something even larger? And those aftershocks continued 2 or 3 times a day for the next about 5 days. So by the time we left Southern California, we were both physically and mentally exhausted, because each time an aftershock would happen, my body would tense up and I'd start thinking, oh, this is going to be the big one. So anyway, I share that. Okay, next one, please. So emergency preparedness, Douglas Public Health Network and the emergency managers realized that there was a need in Douglas County to educate the older adults. And as you see on the slide here, past events have shown that older adults are often much more heavily impacted by disasters. And so we realized we need to do something for that population. And to give you a kind of an example of some of the events that have taken place that emphasizes this, the next slide, please, is in 2018, the Camp Fire, which burnt the town of Paradise to the ground. There were 85 fatalities. And of the 85 fatalities, 79 of them were of the age of 50 or older, us older adults. In 2023, we had the Lahaina fire in Maui, where 102 fatalities. And of the 102 fatalities, 89 of those were of the age of 50 and over. And just as recently as the beginning of this year, 2025, in the LA area, Los Angeles, there were 29 fatalities. Of those 29 fatalities, 23 of them were of the age of 50 and over. So it's obvious that with events, us older adults need to do better in preparing so we can reduce these types of numbers. Next, please. So Douglas Public Health Network and emergency management for Douglas County realized we needed to do something. And so they put together the Senior Emergency Preparedness Project. It started small, and the goal was to educate older adults on emergency preparedness. And we were going to hand out the Umpqua Prepared Guidebook, do presentations at the senior dining sites, and do home visits. Next, please. The partnership started with between Douglas Senior Services and Douglas Public Health Network, with additional support from the Douglas County Emergency Management, the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua Tribe of Indians, Red Cross, and other participants. We were able to leverage, the expertise and the networks of these groups, emergency preparedness through emergency managers, public health, communication through the PIOs, and working with the seniors with the Meals on Wheels program and the senior dining site program. And then also with the Douglas County Healthcare Coalition. Now go ahead next, please. The Healthcare Coalition is made up of individuals from Douglas Public Health Network, which is us, Douglas County Government, which is the county commissioners, Douglas County Senior Services, who operated the Meals on Wheels and the dining sites, which is the beginning of this project, Douglas County Emergency Manager, And then we had EMS, fire, the hospitals, the tribe, and other participants involved in this coalition. Next, please. So the funding for this program or this project predominantly came from Douglas County government, which was the county commissioners. We got a grant from Oregon Office of Rural Health and a grant from American Association of Retired Persons. We know it as AARP, AARP. And this was the funding source for this project and the next project. Go ahead. So to give you kind of a background of where we're talking about, the dining site program from the senior services provided lunches twice a week for older adults 60 and over in Douglas County. The 7 dining sites throughout Douglas County went anywhere from Reedsport all the way to the city of Roseburg, down to Glendale and up to Drain. Along with the dining sites, go ahead. They have a program called Meals on Wheels. And what that is they provide hot and frozen meals for older adults who are homebound. And we have over 200 here in Douglas County. So we went not only to the 7 dining sites and gave them a presentation on emergency preparedness, but we went to each one of these homebound and gave them the same information. Next, please. So the presentation was based from the Umpqua Prepared. It's a guidebook that is designed to help us be the help until help arrives. Next, please. It's divided into 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is hazards. Chapter 2 was fundamentals. Chapter 3 was special considerations. Chapter 4 was kits, and chapter 5 was resources. So each chapter built on each other. So the hazards, even though Oregon was considered an all hazard state, we focused on the hazards that would be most common to us here in the Umpqua Valley. And then we would present on those. One of the areas in that was on fires. And then we even go into the home and talk about home fire safety and those kinds of things. And one of the elements in that is they talk about smoke detectors. And it's important that you have an operating smoke detector. And we all kind of know that. But for those who don't have a smoke detector or don't have one that the batteries still work in, we hand out a flyer that is from Red Cross, and it allows them to contact Red Cross. And Red Cross, not only will they bring smoke detectors, because in today's home, you need more than one, they will actually install them for you. Some fire departments will do that as well. For your area, if this is something that you're interested in, I would contact Red Cross, and we'll give you our contact information at the end of this. And I would also contact your local fire department and see if they're already doing some type of program like that. The second chapter on fundamentals goes over planning and those kinds of things. And one of the things that we focused on was to make sure that people realize that the plan needs to be custom to them and their family, that it's not going to be something that you just can download off the internet or take somebody else's plan and make it your plan, that it's important that you customize it to you and your needs. And then chapter 3 was special considerations. When we talk about emergency preparedness, and especially for us older adults, it can be very overwhelming. And so this is the area that we need to kind of focus in on. And it's broken into mental health, kids, pets, livestock, and varied abilities. There's a thing in mental health, and it's called disaster-induced stress. And we all have it, and we all will relate to different events differently, but just know that it's there and that it's okay. When I talked about the earthquake in Southern California, I was having a disaster-induced stress every time we had those aftershocks. And that's just normal, and it's okay. Our kids are going to have it, our pets, and just know that that's okay as well. If you have kids or grandkids that are going to be involved, you want to make sure that they get involved in putting the planning together. Chapter 4 is probably one of the most important ones, dealing with the different types of kits that you may want to put together based on you and your family's needs. When we talk about the kits, we go through all of the different options that you have, but what's important here is that you want to stress that they need to practice. First off, they need to make sure that in their kits that they have the things that they need and the things that are important to them, so that when they do evacuate, that stuff has a plan and what they're going to do with that. And then they need to train, because when you train, you'll find things that you didn't think about. As an example, you have all of these evac boxes, which are boxes that you are basically like totes that you put the valuables in that you want to take with you. And now you've got 5 of those totes, but you're putting them in a vehicle that cannot handle 5 totes. So in their plan, they need to make sure that they need to reevaluate how they're going to get those items to wherever they're going to go, or reduce the number that they have. And then have people practice. Give you an example. I live out by Glide, or we do. And the Archie Creek fire, we got to a level 2, which is meaning that we may have to evacuate. And so I have an enclosed trailer, 10-foot trailer. So I'm telling the family, by the way, we have a daughter and our grandkids live above the shop in an apartment. We're all putting stuff in this 10-foot trailer so that when we evacuate, chances are we're not going to come back to a home. It's going to be burnt. Good news is we didn't have to evacuate. Our home was safe. And so I said we were loading the trailer. Well, I'm now unloading the trailer. And it's going to be interesting, because you would think the things that are most valuable to people would be the first thing you put in the trailer. So when I got to the front of the trailer, I've got this sack, this paper bag, and I'm taking it back into the shop, and it's rattling. I'm thinking, well, what the heck is this? And so when I open it up, our 40-year-old daughter, who has our grandkids, put cans of spray paint in this bag. And that was one of the first things she put in the trailer. And they weren't even her paint. That was my paint. So it was a great learning opportunity we had there, but you just never know how people are going to react, back to that disaster-induced stress thing, to these kinds of events. But make sure that they practice. And then chapter 5 goes over resources. And here, when we think about emergency preparedness, we think about how overwhelming it is and how daunting, and it's to some people so overwhelming that they just don't know where to start. And so when you don't know where to start, you don't do anything. So one of the first items that they give us in the resource is a preparedness calendar. And so what they do is they break down building our own personal calendar for us and our families into 12 months. And each month there's a topic or topics that you're working on building your plan. And based on the topics for the month, there's some training. You might already have it, or you might need to get trained on it. And then supplies that goes with that part of your plan that you might need to gather or purchase. Now, the calendar doesn't say January, February, March, so you can start month 1 whenever you get the guidebook, or you can go through and start month 5, however you want to do it. But you go at your own pace, and the idea is at the end of 12 months, then they have a plan. It's a great jump off point for people that are not sure where to start. And what they find is when they are going through that plan, they'll start thinking, our family, we need this. And whatever this is, it may not be in any of those 12 modules, but they'll put it in their plan. Or if you have people that have already started their plan, as they go through that, they'll find something, they'll think, oh, wow, I never even thought of that. And then they'll add that to their plan. It's a great resource. It's also a great resource for groups that you want to try to get a group involved. It could be a Boy Scout group. It could be a church group. It could be any group. I'm trying to get it into schools to take each month as a group task. And so in January, we're all going to do month 1, and we're going to come together the 3rd Thursday of the month and talk about it. What happens in that, and the idea there is, as everybody comes together and they say, okay, this is what I did for that topic, that might help other people go, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Or they were stumbling, or they could ask their group, how do I handle this, whatever this might be in the list, and build in their plan. And then you got the peer pressure where, oh my gosh, I got to get this done because our group's meeting in next week and I haven't done anything. So it's a great resource, a great tool. One more resource that we have in there is called the Douglas Alert. And it's where you go in and you register your cell phone for to the emergency preparedness program. And then what you do is you register it with Douglas County Communications Center. And if there's an event that is happening and the Douglas County emergency managers feel the need to communicate to us, then they can do it. It's kind of like a reverse 911, but it's with your cell phone. Now, for those who have landlines or the phone that's hooked up to their house, that address and that phone number is already registered here in Douglas County. It's all of the cell phones that we all have that's not part of that program, and where the Douglas Alert is, you're registering your cell phone. It's important that you register everybody's cell phone. If they send out an alert and only one of you have the alert program or your cell phone registered, you may get the emergency alert and your significant other, spouse, family member, whatever, may not get that. So it's important that when you talk about doing this kind of a program, that you have everybody registered, not just one person in the family. Everybody that we did presentations for received the guidebook, regardless of age. And even though we're focused at this point on educating older adults, everybody received the guidebook. Next, please. We also provided for those who are 60 and over and live in rural Douglas County, which is everywhere but the city of Roseburg, we gave them a starter go kit. This is one of those kits that are in chapter 4. Next, please. Now, these kits didn't come stock, but what we've provided in these starter go kits, and we emphasize starter because that's what it is we had a space blanket, a rain poncho, a lantern, hand sanitizer, disposable gloves, whistle, toilet paper, some people call Corona Cash, first aid kit, a flashlight, an N95 mask, or actually there's 3 of them, freeze dry food packet, and a bleach chart for water purification and a dropper for that. What's not on the list is we also have provided some matches, and then the 10-step emergency preparedness flyer. Next, please. So that program was so well received by the county commissioners that they wanted to expand that senior emergency preparedness project to all of Douglas County. They thought it was important enough that other older adults that are not members or participating in the senior services program hear what we had to say and have these resources to them. So we went from 7 presentations at the dining sites, 200 homebound presentations. We've done over 44 group presentations to date, as well as, next please, participated in 41 community events. So go ahead, next. So the emergency expanded plan had some of the similar goals as the senior services emergency preparedness project, and that is to educate, instead of just the older adults, but educate all of the population. But we're still focusing on older adults, which are 50 and over or 60 and over, still handing out the Umpqua Prepared Guidebook. The community events, as it showed, that we've done 41 of those, and those ranged anywhere from doing a presentation in somebody's living room where the neighbors came together, and there's 6 or 8 of them, and they wanted to hear this information, to the Douglas Electric membership program where there were over 200. So it was a wide range of groups that we presented to, and the community events were just as wide. The fair, anywhere that there's a festival, we were there with our tables set up and information that we would gather or give out. And we would give those who met the grant requirements of being 60 and over and living in rural Douglas County, they received not only a guidebook, but they also received the Go Kit. Pop-ups was something that we added to the program, and simply what that was, we took a canopy, we would set it up in a parking lot with, typically it was around like a grocery store, Sherm's, Sherm's Thunderbird, and Fred Meyer, or any of those kinds of stores where there's a lot of foot traffic. And we would just present the information. We'd have the guidebooks, we'd have the Go Kits. And again, for those who met the grant requirements, we would give them a Go Kit. But everybody that stopped by our tent, we would give them the Umpqua Prepared guidebook, and then answer any questions that they might have. Next, please. To date, we've distributed over 10,000 guidebooks, and that wasn't us giving them out personally, all 10,000. We have actually over 250 locations that we provide guidebooks at, so that their customers and patrons can pick one up and take it with them. We just make sure that we keep them stocked up, and we've given out 3,783 starter Go Kits as of today. Next one, please. So with that, it's been a successful program for us. We saw that there was a need for educating the older adults with emergency preparedness. We started small with the senior services dining sites and Meals on Wheels. And in fact, we're just about ready to go through the dining sites again next month in May. It's been just at 2 years that we started this program. And so it's time to go back through and revisit that, which is going to be interesting for those who have received the initial Go Kit and information, what they've done with their plan, and then provide opportunity for new members for that. It's key to have partnerships and to cultivate those, so that when you do want to put together a program like this, that you have more than just one or two organizations trying to do this. And with that, I think that is all I have. Next slide,
Excellent.
please. Go. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael, so much. So our next speaker is Aaron Taylor with the Upstream Access. Aaron is a dedicated advocate for equity and accessibility, working to dismantle ableism, which is a system of discrimination and prejudice against individuals with disabilities, and foster belonging. She specializes in creating training materials and has presented nationally on disability justice, anti-ableism, health promotion, and emergency preparedness. As co-founder of AIM for Access and a key contributor to building the nonprofit Upstream Access, Aaron advances inclusive emergency preparedness and cross-disability collaboration. A proud part of the disability and LGBTQIA+ communities, she holds an MA in Disability Studies from the City University of New York and a BA in Communication Studies from Western Oregon University. Aaron, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here today and share some of the work that we have been doing. First, for a visual description, I'm a middle-aged white woman with a short brown and gray hair. I have hexagon dark rimmed glasses and a nose piercing that's a hoop. I'm wearing a dark blue colored shirt with a very small desert print of animals and shrubs and beige, hot pink, and lime green. That's just a quick visual description for you. And what I'm here today to talk about is a little bit more about what we've been doing at Upstream Access for about the past year and a half, but really the importance of personalizing your plan and the importance of it and the different aspects and what we can do to be able to achieve finding not only a plan, but a kit that is personalized for us. So just a bit about Upstream Access. We've been around for a little over, or just under a year and a half. As was said, we're a cross-disability nonprofit rooted in disability justice, collective care, and community resilience. We center disabled people in everything we do. And we have two arms of the nonprofit. One is social connection, and the other one is emergency preparedness. This was because we talked to several people within the disability and aging community and realized that there were kind of three resounding themes that we heard from people. That people wanted resources, people wanted trainings and education, and people wanted social connection. So we said, well, let's start something and try it. So we listened to community members. All of our programs that we create are from and based by what community members say that they want and what they need to feel more supported before and during and after an emergency. So before we get started, I want to say that it's important for me to say that even though this webinar is a title for older adults, and I'm coming from the space today of coming from a disability organization and understanding not all older adults identify as having a disability, even though many experience barriers that impact daily lives. So when we look at access and functional needs, we think about what access do people have to be able to function, and that's before, during, and after an emergency. That's what I bring into this conversation today. We get to highlight the broader spectrum of experiences, recognizing that support needs don't always come with a diagnosis. So with doing this helps us move towards more inclusive, person-centered planning that honors dignity, autonomy, agency, and preparedness for all people. So also I remind people that when we're considering people who are disabled today, we often do not talk about people who will become situationally, temporarily, or permanently disabled during an emergency. And so that's why it's so essential for all of us to think of what we need as far as access to be able to function in those situations and to have that personalized plan. So today I want to talk about the why of emergency preparedness. So what needs to happen? How do we start the conversation? And what's your role and why? So why your role in supporting preparedness? So kind of the why of it. Next slide, please. There's 4 main points. This is taken from a curriculum that we are piloting from Australia. I've been working with them for almost 2 years. I'm bringing this pilot to be able to bring it to the US. And so we just did our first cohort. We're going to be doing 4 more. But with this, when we look at this, there's 4 points when you want to personalize your plan. The first one is to identify your strengths and support needs in everyday life. The second one is to know your level of emergency preparedness and then learn your disaster risk. The third is to plan how you will manage your support needs in an emergency. And then the fourth is communicate the plan. As Michael said earlier, it's not good enough just having a plan. You need to communicate it, you need to practice it. And that's really what we talk a lot about too. An example, we had our first cohort that we do that are 3 months of meeting with the same group of people. We have a different topic every month, and then we moved to a different location and did the same cohort. And we had our first cohort at PCC, Portland Community College, last night. And there was a fire alarm that went off. And they had told us it was going to be at 7. It was actually at 6. And so in the middle of our session, we got to practice a real life emergency with having a fire alarm. And that gave us really good practice. We got to come back to the group and talk about what worked, what didn't work, what people might do differently, how they felt emotionally about it, especially since it happened earlier than we thought. And so it was a perfect time, really, to be able to have a fire drill for that. So next slide, please. I want to go over a few statistics. So this is taken from a recent national poll for people ages 50 to 80. Only 29% of respondents had an emergency kit. 44% had signed up for emergency alerts. 40% talked with family or friends about an evacuation plan. 22% of respondents experienced an emergency or disaster, such as a power outage lasting more than a day or severe weather or an evacuation from home. And 1 out of 4 people nationally have a disability, and 43.9% of those are over the age of 65. So that's why it's really important. We have a lot of people who come from the aging community, who come to our cohorts, who come to our different events, because if there's any accessible or factors or needs that a person has, they're able to come to any of our events. So next slide, please. The 3 principles, what I want to talk about for personalizing your emergency plan is 1, emergency preparedness is a process. It's not a one-time event. It's not like make your plan, check it off, you're done, good. We want you to keep going back and revisiting it, checking your kit, making sure. Also, life changes happen, and so you need to adjust with that as well. Number 2, people are experts in their own lives. Planning starts with them. It starts with us. We know our bodies the best. We know our needs, we know our wants, and so it really starts with them. We can have a list to go from, and that's really great, and that's helpful. And yet those plans are going to be so personalized because we know what we need. And number 3, person-centered planning. Conversations build the capacity of multiple partnerships. So when we start building for one person and creating this to be person-centered, we're able to, as Michael shared, like how far they've been able to expand and how many groups and partnerships, and then just outreaches to more people, and it's kind of that ripple effect. Next slide, please. So the other part is identify your strengths and support needs in everyday life. So there's 8 parts that when you look at personalizing your plan, you want to consider: communication, maintaining health, assistive technology and devices, personal support, service animals and pets, transportation, living situation, and social connection. And I want to go through each of these briefly just to kind of get you to think on like, what might I need for each of these? The one thing is you may not need all 8 of these domains looked at, parts of your life. You may not have a service animal or a pet, and that's okay. You just don't have to think about that question at this time, but you may later on. So we have it in there and we talk about it just because pets come up a lot about people not wanting to leave their pets at home, and what can they do. So if we go to the next slide, please. So when we look at communication, communication is essential. We hear about communication and transportation so often as being massive needs and concerns that people have. It is important for a person to think about aspects of planning related to communication. Topics to consider may include: what assistive devices does a person use? How does a person communicate? How does a person receive critical information? And who do they have to communicate with? So when we're looking at communication, we might think about if we have certain medical devices, do we have those cords? Or if we have those communication devices, do we have those cords handy? Do we have extra supply of them? And then if you're not set up for alerts, how do you do that? And if you don't know how to do that, how can you ask? Is there someone you can ask to help you set that up? So communication from the very beginning all the way through is really important part of planning. And then also do you have internet access to a computer or internet? And if not, where's your plan? How can you get it out to people? How can you share it? This is something we're working a lot with people in rural areas, and people who may not have the accessibility or affordability to have a computer or internet as well. Next slide, please. Maintaining health. So with maintaining health, it's essential to look at this holistically by addressing a person's physical, emotional, and mental health needs. Michael had also mentioned about mental health too. We realize this is a really big topic for people prepared. I've had so many people say, it's a scary topic to think about. I live by myself. I'm needing a plan. I need to set up this kit, and I don't want to do it by myself. So we create get-togethers to where people can do that together so we aren't doing that alone. And then it also helps to with a person's mental health. We have mental health resilience kits where people can come in and find items that they can pack for their comfort bag, kind of like a comfort kit to put in their emergency kit of items. It might be playing cards, it might be notebooks, it might be fidgets, it might be noise machines, whatever that is that brings that person comfort that they can have in their go kit that can help ground them during an emergency is really important for us to be able to provide. So when you're looking at maintaining health, where do I keep my health information? That's important to know. Do you have it someplace where it's safe, where it's waterproof, where it's fireproof? Do you have it on a USB? Is it in your house? Do you have it with someone else? How do you manage and monitor health and medical treatments? This is really important for me. My medication's refrigerated. So if I lose power, how do I keep my medication still cool? What power sources are needed to operate the medical equipment? And then where do I get some supplies and how do I manage them? Are you able to, through insurance, get extra supplies and stock up on those? And if you don't have room in your space to be able to keep the storage, do you have someplace, a friend or family member that you can keep them stored at? Next slide, please. When we look at assistive devices and technology, so much of our world is based on technology today. So we're talking about any device, system, or design that allows someone to perform a task, whether it's through communication, whether it's paying bills, whether it's to just Google things about emergency preparedness. That's what we're talking about when it comes to assistive devices and technology. It can increase safety and make tasks easier to do. It includes anything that is low and high tech. So what I mean by low tech is something that, like a reacher, a grabber. We have foldable grabbers for people who cannot reach long distances that they can put in their bags and then they can unfold and be able to use. Or it could be high tech, like their ventilator or their communication device that they use. So, and it's anything to help a person go through their daily activities. So it's really important to think about, as I mentioned a minute ago, do you have all those charging cords and batteries labeled and marked? You can color code them because you may not be able to get access to them and somebody else may not be able to know how to plug in the charger appropriately for your devices. So you can color code them, you can mark them, you can have a chart some way so someone else can also know where that charger goes into that, where the charger cord goes into the power chair, or how to hook up a CPAP if you're not able to and you need some assistance with that. And then what's required to maintain the equipment. So we talk a lot about it. It's important to not only have your equipment, but do you know how to maintain it? Do you have the phone number of someone who can help you if it's broken to be able to fix it other than your insurance? Having those numbers handy and the descriptions is an important part of it as well. Next slide, please. Personal support. So this may be assistance of a person receives or needs from another person. It may be family members, it might be a staff, it might be if you live in a assisted living facility, it might be a neighbor. With a neighbor and other people, we always talk about with personal support to an emergency preparedness, we talk about consent. Making sure that people are wanting to and willing to help you. Sometimes we may assume that our neighbors are going to help us. It's important to have that conversation and get the consent to make sure that they want to and that they feel comfortable and that they know how to. An example of this, I think, is we do pod mapping, which is kind of learning where your social supports are. It's through transformative justice. And we had somebody from one of our cohorts come and she took it to the living facility she lives at, which is all older adults. And they've all done pod mapping within themselves. And then they've created a buddy system within that living situation to be able to share with
para
each other.
poder
And
compartir unos con otros, y esa es una bella manera de porque el apoyo personal puede cambiar y hay personas que se pueden apoyar unas a otras.
6个月，我们也可能发生一些变化的。
Также как можно безопасно ехать, если надо будет в чрезвычайной ситуации.
Also, who helps with personal care? If a person needs personal care, and is a person are they going to be able to get to you? If an emergency and they live on the bridge and the bridge collapses on the other side of the bridge and the bridge collapses, who's going to be able to come help you and assist you at that point. So it's important to have plan B, plan C, plan D in that case. And that's what is important when we talk about the pod mapping, figuring out who those people are. So if we go to next slide. So service animals. So this may be assistance of a person receives from another that needs from an animal, a dog and or a small horse, a miniature horse, but primarily dogs. And there's very set rules. They're there to work with people. And so the rulings for service animals versus pets are very different in shelters. So it's important for you to find out if you're going to a shelter exactly what that is for each place. And it's for us, like I said earlier, we talked to a lot of people and they said, we don't want to leave our animals if we have to evacuate and we don't have any place for them. So we talk a lot about what can people do with their pets? What do they need to have with their pets as well? So what are those documentations? Where do you keep that documentation? Do you have a picture taken with your pet so you can prove ownership? Do you have items that your pet needs for eating, sleeping, cleaning? Do you have a go bag for your animal? And then what are the other items? We talk about comfort items for people, but animals have comfort items. My kitten has a tiger. She carries it around in her mouth every place she goes. And so I would need to make sure that I had that tiger with her. So it's important to consider all of those things. So most of us do not have service animals, but just like me, many of you would not want to leave your animals at home. So it's important to have that backup plan. Or do you have neighbors that can help get your pets out if there's an emergency? Next slide. Transportation. So we are almost through with all 8 parts of this. So transportation, this is a barrier we always hear about transportation during an emergency and after, not only to get to shelters, but how do you just get out of your location? And we're also talking about thinking about the importance of if you have to transport yourself out of a building too, are there evacuation chairs if you're on a vertical housing or if you live someplace where it's multiple floors or work someplace that has multiple floors. So also with looking at transportation, where may a person need to be transported during an emergency? Who's going to help if a person needs to be transferred? Does someone out of a wheelchair or into another vehicle? Does somebody know how to do that? Does somebody know how to use the tie downs appropriately for a wheelchair? So it's important to think about the transportation, how we organize that, and also have those multiple plans and those evacuation routes and more than one evacuation route as well. So next slide. Living situation. When we, with the living situation, we want to think about who do I live with? What makes us feel safe or unsafe in my home or my community? How many exits are there? And are they all accessible? And are they accessible to the person? And is there an elevator? And once again, if there's an elevator and the power goes out or the elevator stops, are there stair chairs, evacuation chairs to get people out? I've heard so many stories of people being stuck on multiple level floors, 5th, 6th levels for a couple of days, if not longer, because they could not get down the stairs and the elevators were not working. So, and then as Michael said too, it's important to realize, like, do you have functioning alarm clocks and carbon monoxide? And when were they last checked? So be sure and check them on a regular basis and that they're working. Next slide. And then finally, social connectedness. This is such an important piece. Like I said earlier, people were concerned and scared to create their plans and create their kits by themselves. So being able to do it in a group made it easier, it made it more fun. We could help support each other as far as thinking of different ideas of what people may need. So when we look at social connection, who's in your circle of support? What type of support do they need? Are there people who rely on you? And what type of support do you provide for others too? So it's not only how do you help people, but it's how others help you. Next slide. After we've identified, we want to know your level of emergency preparedness about your disaster risk. So how prepared are you? If I asked on a level of one, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being like, I haven't planned at all, or 2, like, I've thought about it, but I haven't really done much. 3 is like, I've started to get organized. And 4 is basically like, I have a plan. I've kind of gotten it going. And 5 is like, I feel comfortable. I've practiced this. I know what my plan is. I know how to adapt it. So just take a second and think on a scale of 1 to 5, for you personally, what would that be? This is really important to think about and know when you're making your plan, because then it helps you look at those 8 domains that I talked about and really think about where those gaps were and where you want to start. As Michael said, take a topic by a month, and be able to say, okay, I'm going to focus on communication this month. I'm going to focus on maintaining health this month, and be able to do it that way. Next slide, please. So on this slide here, it has a circle with in the middle, and then 4 circles and a larger circle around it. And this is who understanding who does what. So when we prepare, it's really important to be able to know who does what. What does the city do? What does the county do? What's our responsibility? So this can really help strengthen our personal plan when we know, and we feel more confident knowing who we can call, who's going to help support in what way. So the first one is to know your hazard risks. So what are those risks that you have in your local areas, or that you may have? I mean, we've seen so many emergencies. I've lived here 47 years in Oregon, and the climate change and how emergencies, natural disasters have changed have been wild for me to be able to see throughout almost a half a century. The second one, where do you get your emergency information and alerts? Number 3, what emergency service agencies do? So who does what? And then 4, what's your responsibility before, during, and after? So this will really help with us feeling more confident and knowing, like, okay, I know who I can contact. I know who I can talk to. So next slide. So some of the disturbances that are of concern for people, heat that we've talked to: heat wave, wildfire, flood, earthquake, landslide, power outage, snowstorm, ice storm, house fire, pandemic, just to name a few. And we a big concern that has come up is power outages. So something that we do is we're sure at all of our cohorts that each person, every month they attend, they get a solar powered item. And then not only we tell them to open it, pull it out of the box and charge it too, because it's not going to do any good sitting in the box. So this is really important. I've heard such great stories of people being able to, like, charge their phones when the power was out, or be able to get their fans, because we have solar powered fans too. So if it's hot, being able to at least regulate your temperature some with a solar powered fan. So this is something that we hear from community members with the heat waves and power outages. And so we've tried to find ways to be able to help bring education, awareness, and resources. And then also working with the power companies too has been really important for us to do. Next slide. So you want to plan for how you'll manage your support needs in emergency. So scenario 1, stay. What if you had to stay in place and shelter for 7 days or longer without the access to the services and supports? What is that, and what does that look like? So we help with talking about sheltering in place, what a person may need, how you go about that. And then the second one, a second scenario, is if you had to go. So if you had to evacuate to a place of safety, where would a person go? How would you manage your health and well-being? So, and what would those items be, and who are those people? Next slide. And then putting the plans into action. So this has got the 8 domains on this slide. Again, it says things I have in place to stay or go. And then the next column is gaps in my plan. And then the next column is my next steps. So this is oftentimes we think, oh yeah, we need to do that, but we don't write it down. So this gives you space to be able to write down those gaps that you have, and then how are you going to fill those gaps? So maybe you need resources to put in your bag. Maybe you need to find some organizations that can help support you with your planning. And so you could put that in your next steps once you figure out your gap. So it's just a great way to be able to write something down. You can use it with a voice recorder if you want. You can use it on hand paper. You can use it typed, whatever is accessible for you to think about what those gaps are and then what you'll do. Next slide. And then communicate. As we heard previously, communication is key. Communicate the plan with people in your support networks and address gaps. This is so important. Plans you only think about aren't enough. You need to write them down, and practicing matters. Talk with your support networks and your needs and your supports, and update your plan based on who may be able to assist you during the emergency, or if you have a life change. My partner is a recreational therapist, works in rehab, and when someone becomes newly disabled, their plans change, and so or need to. And so who can help you with that to figure out what it now will look like for you to evacuate? Or and then you want to identify and discuss what's stopping you from preparing. So is it just such an overwhelming topic you don't know where to start? Is it finances? Is it not having people? And then reach out and ask for help. Saying that is easier than done. It's hard for me to ask for help, but I've learned through interdependence, and especially with upstream access, that it's okay to ask for help. And then what are those next steps that need to happen that you need to take? So to be able to feel comfortable and confident in personalizing your plan. Next slide. And that's it. So here's my contact information, e.taylor@upstreamaccess.org. Our tagline is celebrating disability and collective resilience. And if anybody has any questions, please reach out. Thank you for letting me join today and share a little bit about how you can personalize your plan and your kit. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Now we will hear from Jeff Perkins. Jeff is a public safety communications specialist with the Oregon Department of Emergency Management, Office of Statewide Interoperability, home of Oregon's OR Alert program. With more than a decade of experience in emergency management and public safety communications, Jeff is a certified communications unit leader and communications unit technician, and a sergeant in the U.S. Army Reserve. Throughout his career, Jeff has supported interoperable communications during critical incidents across Oregon, including wildfire responses and large-scale public events. His current work focuses on enhancing statewide alerting capabilities and improving access to life-saving information for all Oregonians. Jeff, over to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Good morning, everybody. Like Sonia mentioned, my name is Jeff Perkins, and I am the State of Oregon Public Safety Communications Specialist. I am a younger to middle-aged adult male, white with bald hair, and today I'm wearing a black polo shirt with the Oregon Department of Emergency Management logo on the front. Today I will be talking about OR Alert and kind of what that is and how it can affect you. Next slide, please. So we have an agenda for today, which is going to be, we're going to discuss the mission of OR Alert, the network itself, the notification methods, the types of notifications that are received through OR Alert, how to get signed up, and then some additional information at the end. So we'll start with OR Alert's mission, and I'll read this verbatim, which is, OR Alert's mission is to ensure access to timely and informative alerts, warnings, and notifications, also known as AWNs, through the implementation of a statewide system that enables state, county, city, and tribal governments to issue those AWNs, providing people in Oregon with meaningful opportunities to make life-saving decisions in the face of emergencies. Next slide, please. So what is OR Alert? OR Alert is a tool that the state has given the local authorities, so your city or your county, the ability to let you know that there is an emergency happening. So it's a state program that provides access to these local agencies to be able to send out the alerts. So think of it as We provide the access to the technology, and then your local authorities get to send the alert to you. In the past, it was up to the local agencies, your city or your county, to pay for that service itself. And what that ended up creating was some confusion on when alerts were sent, how alerts were sent, and some communities had access to more robust systems where other more rural agencies didn't have the same access. So by creating one state standard and providing that to the local authorities, we were able to create a more robust system where everyone has access to a tool that effectively is able to send alerts and let people know when something is going on and what they should do about it or where they should go in case they need to leave. But we wanted to make sure that we didn't control it at the state level. We wanted to make sure that the agencies that are in those areas and serve those people can be more or less left alone to alert their public the way that they know their public wants to be alerted. What works in Multnomah County doesn't necessarily work the same in Harney County, and the needs are different. So we wanted to make sure that those local agencies had the ability to do what they needed to do the way that they knew they needed to do it. Next slide, please. So that tool that we provided from the state to the local agencies is called Everbridge. And Everbridge is the software that sends the alerts. So if you think about when you're watching television and you hear that loud screeching noise, and then you have the text go across the bottom of the screen, there is a tool called Everbridge that allows your local authorities the ability to type in that message and then send it. But also, it includes a lot more than just TV and radio alerting. So, in addition to that, you can also receive text messages on your cell phone, you can receive emails, you can receive automated voice calls, which can go to cell phones or landline phones. Push messages, which are a message that comes in similar to if you have a email app downloaded on your phone, you will receive a vibration in your phone that says that you received a new email. The push messages with the Everbridge app are very similar, and you can see that the Everbridge mobile app is displayed on the screen and can be downloaded from the Google Store or the Apple iStore for a cell phone. You do not need to have that to receive the messages, as it's sent out in all these different ways. You can also receive keyword or zip code based alerting. So that would be if you put in a keyword, you'll receive a special alert. Now, the TV, radio, broadcast messages, also known as the emergency alert system, and wireless emergency alerts, those are ones that you don't need to do anything to receive. You don't need to opt in. You don't need to download an app. You don't need to do anything. You'll receive those because it's pushed out based on where you're at. So if you're watching TV, you don't need to opt in for the TV to display the message. It just automatically displays it. Same with the radio, and then also same with the wireless emergency alerts. Now, wireless emergency alerts are unique in that it's sent based on your location where you're at with your cell phone. So the wireless part is the cell phone, and then the emergency alert. A lot of the time, people think wireless emergency alerts, they think about Amber Alerts. Most of the time, that is a wireless emergency alert. Those are the most common, is that a child has been either abducted or is in danger, and they're trying to find that child, and they're trying to put out the description of the child, a vehicle, and to as many people in that area as possible. And if you've ever experienced a wireless emergency alert and you've been in public, a lot of the time phones will go off either at the same time or very near the same time, and then you have a whole public place all grabbing their devices and looking at the devices. That's a wireless emergency alert. And again, you don't need to opt in to receive that. It's based on your location where you are. Also, National Weather Service Radio, or NOAA weather radios. It can push out this tool. Everbridge can push out information to your NOAA weather radio. Also, Google Alerts and Ring Neighbors app integration is also a thing. So there's a a lot of emerging technology and ways that we can alert the public. And this tool allows us to continue to do that and continue to keep up with advancing technology. For an example, this app now allows for when an alert is sent, it allows to be sent to someone's Alexa device in their home and will actually alert the people inside the home that an emergency alert has been issued. So that's a lot, but for the most part, we'll explain how you can sign up for some of these. But really, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the TV, radio broadcast messages that are sent via the emergency alert system and the wireless emergency alerts, there is no need for anyone to do anything. If there is an emergency, you will receive those emergency alerts regardless of what you opt in. Next slide, please. So different types of alerts that are sent. So you can receive emergency alerts for, let's say a large earthquake. So a lot of people think the Cascadia subduction zone warnings. So there are actually devices that have been installed around the state that are able to pick up shaking. And when shaking is picked up by those devices, those sensors, an alert can be issued. Yeah, but again, that's one that you have to sign up for. Emergency evacuations, active shooters, civil unrest, different large public event gatherings, or even tsunami warnings are different examples of emergency alerts you can receive. And if you can see the screen, you'll see a couple different examples of emergency alerts that are sent. One of them says severe heat today, tonight, and tomorrow. Go to a cool place and check on others. And then it has a link to a website where you can go and see more information. Another example is Lane County Level 3 Go Now evacuation for Mohawk Valley from Wendling Road to County Line and Upper Camp Creek Road. So these are old alerts that have been saved as an example for this presentation. But you can see that there is actually quite a bit of information that's pushed out to these alerts. And the ones that are displayed on the screen are examples of ones you don't need to opt in for. These are sent out as emergencies. You need to either leave or take some sort of preventative measure to keep yourself safe. Next slide. So we've talked about different emergency alerts that you have to sign up for and other ones that you don't need to sign up for. So if you want to receive alerts in a certain way, you can sign up for those alerts. And we're going to go through that process on how you can do that. And again, these slides will be available after this presentation is over for you to go back through and step by step opt in for these alerts. So when you go to the ORalert website, which is www.oralert, spelled ORALERT.gov, and also a link has been shared in the chat for you to follow directly. It'll take you to a general page, like a home page, that says sign up for emergency notifications. And there's a couple of options on the page that you can click on. One of them is to take you to a page that'll display actual alerts that have been sent across the state. Then there's also a box for you to type in either your zip code, your county, your city, or your tribe. And then there's also a button that you can click after you've filled that box, which will take you to another page specific to your location. So for this example, Bend, Oregon, has been typed in the box, and it shows Deschutes County, which is the county that Bend is located in. Next slide. So continuing that example of Bend, we show now Deschutes County alerts. This is their page that Deschutes County has made for their own alerts. So you'll be taken to, your particular county's page. If you entered Portland, you'll be taken to Multnomah County's page, and so on. So this is the homepage for that particular county. Now, if we go to the next slide, we'll see that there is an option to create an account. So the message on the screen here. I know it's very small text, so I'll just read it. It says, emergencies can happen with little to no notice at any time of the day or night. Deschutes Alerts allows you to receive emergency notifications about threats to your safety. You can opt in to receive notifications via phone calls, text messages, email, and more based on the locations you care about. Once you sign up, you will receive time-sensitive messages based on locations that you specify, such as your home, work, or school. You choose where you receive the alert via phone, text, or email, or a combination of all three. Please remember the system is only as good as the data you provide. Ensure that you register a physical address in Deschutes County, Camp Sherman, or Crooked River Ranch. If you move or change your phone number, please update your records. So now you can either create an account or sign in. And on the next page, we'll show what it looks like to create an account. The basic information is here for any other account that you may have signed up for, which would be your first name, last name. You create a username that's easy to remember, a password, a security question and answer to help you if you forget your password to reset it later, your location information, and again, you can give it a name. You can call it home, work, school. And the reason that we do this is because you're allowed to sign up for multiple counties. You don't necessarily just have to sign up for the county that you live or work in. So if you live in Multnomah County, but you live, or you work in Multnomah County, but you live in Yamhill County or maybe Columbia County, you can put in, you can create an account for both. So you can have one Deschutes County and call it something, and also have another one. Another useful use of that is if you have someone that you care about that lives in a different county than you, you can sign up to receive alerts from that county. So that way you can make sure you know if there's something bad going on or something troubling going on in that county of the person that you care about. You also enter your email address and a phone number for you to receive text messages and a phone number for you to receive voice phone calls. Next slide, please. So here you get to customize what you receive and the different things that you'll receive for it. Again, these would be things that are not immediate threat to life. So it wouldn't be the automatic messages that would show across your TV screen, or the ones that will automatically alert your phone, like the wireless emergency alert or Amber Alert. These would be ones that you would just want to know about. So wind advisories, flood advisories, winter storm warnings, fires, and then other information that's sent out by that local alerting authority. So you can choose weather alerts, community information. So emergency alerts is automatically selected. And then you can also send, public information, emergency preparedness information, and different things that your local agencies can send information out to the people who want to receive that. You don't need to select all of them. You can select just the ones that you want to receive. So it allows you, as the person receiving the alert, to not always receive stuff that isn't relevant to you or that you don't want. You get to be the one that chooses what you receive. And then if we go to the next slide, it also allows you to say what cities that you want within that county. So there's multiple cities that are available to be selected within our example here, which is Deschutes County. And we're able to select those different towns. If we don't want to receive information from Lapine, but we do want to receive information from Bend and Sun River, we can. We can do that. So it allows you to select either all of them or just one of them. So again, it just allows you as the person receiving the information the ability to customize what you receive. There's also additional needs that you can identify that you have. So if you're blind or visually impaired, you can select that. And that allows the alerters to know that you need a different method of communication, that you may need to have an accommodation provided to you to receive the information that you're asking to receive. It also allows them to know that you have either an access or functional need when an emergency happens. It allows them to know that that is something that you might need if an evacuation happens or an emergency happens in that area. It just provides that local authority the information about your specific needs or accommodations you may need. And again, that is all optional. You do not have to put any more information in that than you want to. You're 100% in charge of what you provide. You're also able to select a preferred language. So if you have a specific language that you want to receive alerts in, you have a drop-down box and you're able to select that. If we go to the next slide, it shows the map of alerts. So this is the live message dashboard. So if there are alerts happening in the area, you're able to see that. So there's an example of when there's no alerts happening in an area, it'll just say no message is available at this time. And that is the example on the left side of the screen. On the right side of the screen is showing that a shake alert message was issued by the USGS, and it shows when it was sent, where it was sent, the magnitude of the earthquake, and just some other information. So if you haven't received an alert necessarily, but you're wondering if an alert was sent, you can go to that ORAlert website and click on the live messages dashboard, and it'll take you to this. And you can zoom in on different areas, so you only see information for a particular area that you want. And then we'll go to our last slide, and that just has my contact information. It's got my name, Jeff Perkins, my title, Public Safety Communications Specialist, and then my email address, which is my first name, Jeff, dot my last name, Perkins, Perkins, at oem.oregon.gov. If you have any additional questions about ORAlert or about public alerts in general, please feel free to send me an email, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for your time, and I hope that this has been educational for you about ORAlert, what we do, and how we can help you receive emergency alerts.
Thank you, Jeff, and a special thank you to all our presenters for sharing their wisdom and experience with us. We hope the information offered today will help you and your organization become more prepared. At this time, we would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions. You can type your questions, recommendations, or comments using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Next, I will turn it over to Aaron Zeisett, Public Information Officer for the Oregon Department of Emergency Management, to lead the Q&A. Aaron, over to you.
I apologize. I was trying to answer a question in the Q&A. My name is Erin Zeisett. I am a middle-aged white woman with glasses and medium-length blonde hair. I am currently wearing a black polo shirt with the OAM logo on it and a gray cardigan. I am just currently have 4 open questions in the Q&A. If you do have questions, please post them into the Q&A chat and I will share them with the panelists. The first question is, 2 weeks ready was mentioned. What's the recommendation for the Oregon coast? And that's directed at any of our panelists who want to tackle that.
I'll take that, I guess. Even, for us in Douglas County, we had Reedsport, and what we recommend is being ready longer than 2 weeks. As far as a time, there isn't really anything other than what the state has recommended as far as being 2 weeks ready. But we've seen historically here, at least in Douglas County, that our events are lasting greater than 2 weeks. And so we recommend that you be ready longer than that. To kind of give you an example, when we had the snowstorm in 2019, as we go around and talk to groups in Douglas County, you know, ask them, you know, how often or how long were you without power? And we saw it anywhere from just a few days to there was a lady in Elkton that they were without power for 42 days. So if electricity is vital to your needs, you know, especially, you know, medical needs, then you need to prioritize that in your planning. And I recommend that it be longer than 2 weeks, but we don't have an exact date or a time.
Before I move on to some questions for Jeff about alerts, there's one from Lucy who says, are there funds available to help older adults fire safe their homes or add access ramps and other adaptive support for easy access and exit?
I'll try that again. Also, as far as fire safety in your home or easier access, I would check with your local fire department. And again, you know, just looking at Douglas County, there's Firewise programs where the Forest Service or Douglas Public Health or Forest Protection Association can come out and through grants do mitigation to make your home defensible space. But that's more exterior, it's not interior, and I'm not aware of any grants currently that you could make your house fire safe inside it, if that was the question.
Does anyone else have a response that they would like to share?
This is Erin. I would say if you live in the Portland area, you can always call 311 and ask them questions like that too, because they can get you the resources and answers that you need. So besides 211, they have 311, which is a fabulous resource to call if you live in the Portland area.
I have a question from Carrie Adams. Is Klamath County or Lake County not affiliated? I'm not sure, Carrie, if that is about alerts or for alerts. She clarified is for alerts. So are Klamath County and Lake County not affiliated with or alerts? And that's for Kevin. Or not Kevin, sorry. Jeff, it's for Jeff Perkins.
Yeah, I'll take that. And right now, we do have all 36 counties in Oregon participate in OrAlert, and we're working on getting all 9 tribes in Oregon set up as well. So for right now, all 36 counties in Oregon do participate in OrAlert.
I have a few more questions about OrAlert since we're here and we're talking about alerts. One is, will the NOAA alerts continue to work with the cuts to NOAA?
Yes, currently those are unaffected. However, I don't want to forecast anything about federal changes. I just am not educated on the future of that, but that is something that there is no indication at this time that they intend to reduce that in any way, shape, or form.
Excuse me, sorry. Do the OR alerts always include the reason for the alert? Looks like the second example in your slides didn't. That would be great if they did.
So again, we don't want to dictate to the alerting authorities what they need to do. We do provide some governance and some help at the state level as far as how to best write an alert. So when you create a template, so that would be the person that's sending the alert will have a template that they'll be able to use for different, potential triggers for alerts. So if there's a wildfire and somebody needs to leave now, there are templates for that and templates for all kinds of other eventualities. And so we want to make sure that we give the local agencies the ability to alert their public the way that their public wants to be alerted. And typically that does include why the alert is being sent. So if there's a wildfire, where the alerting authority should say, there is a wildfire, please, take some sort of action based on the threat level. If there is a flood warning, it should say this is a flood warning. But as far as like general information, that may be, up to that particular authority.
Are the OR alerts also shared or posted on the NOAA Coast NOAA.gov tool?
So NOAA alerts. So alert.
Yeah, it says the nowcoast.noaa.gov tool.
Right. So NOAA alerts sent by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, National Weather Service, those are listed on their website. So the ones that because they are also an alerter. So they are an entity that uses this technology to alert the public as well. I believe that ORAlert website lists all alerts, including NOAA alerts and alerts sent by local authorities, but I do not know if NOAA does the same thing on their websites, if they also list alerts that they did not send. So we would have to direct that question to the National Weather Service. But the ORAlert website lists all alerts. So if you want to see all alerts, regardless of location or original sender, you can go to the ORAlert website and it will show you all alerts that have been sent from everyone that actually sends alerts.
Final question on alerts. We are hosting community preparedness events in rural communities. We would like to get materials about OR Alert for inclusion on our ORVID tabling. Should we email Jeff with our needs?
You can, but you can also reach out to Erin Zizet, as she works at the Oregon Department of Emergency Management with me, and we can together as a team find out how to best meet your needs with the different products that we have. But we would be happy to have a conversation and discussion about what you would like and what we have available to provide to you.
Gonna give it a second. It looks like that is the remainder of our questions. I will drop the public information email. Actually, there is an email that I'm about to drop in the chat that you can reach out to with any questions for resources, and the organizers can connect you with the appropriate panelists. So I will do that right now if I can find the Word document amidst all of this.
Thank you, Erin. I appreciate that. So, folks, that's all the time we have for Q&As today. Thank you for participating. If you have a question that we don't cover, as Erin mentioned, please send it to community.preparedness@oem.oregon.gov, and we'll connect you with the appropriate person. Thank you again.
Sonia.
Oh, yes, please.
Apologies. I think Uli was going to answer one of the previous questions.
I think there was a question on what the Red Cross provides for fire safety, and if you contact the Red Cross for smoke alarm installation, they will come out and do the regular ones that you hear that make the noise and are above the doors, and they also have for the hearing and devices for the hearing and visually impaired citizens of communities, and they will come in free of charge and put them in for you.
Thank you, Uli. Excellent information. So thank you again to our presenters for their interesting presentations, for giving their time today, and to the community partners who made this webinar possible, the Oregon Advocacy Commission's Office, AARP of Oregon, Oregon Sea Grant, Oregon State University Extension Service, and Oregon Association of Area Agencies on Aging. A special thank you to the interpreters for providing language access. And on behalf of the planning team, thank you for participating in today's session. You'll receive a follow-up email with a feedback survey, resource links, and other supportive information. Our next session is scheduled for May 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We wish you well, take care, and stay safe.